the security dialogue.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You are welcome to yet another edition of the Security Dialogue. Security has been described or defined, some in its defense status, as it is providing security for the nation. Today, we are going to look at another strand of security called protective security when it comes to safety measures within our community, within our homes, within our workplaces. Of course, if I want to put it entirely, we are looking at even the nation and within even the sub-region. We want to understand the concept of protective security and how we can apply it to ourselves to ward off attacks. And today I have in the studio once again Mr. Moses Jatwat. Mr. Moses Jatwat is an intelligence and security expert. He is the former director for the Institute for Intelligence and Strategic Security. Currently, he sits at a very high position, which we may not be able to disclose that. But we are happy to have him once again. And like we always say, the security dialogue looks at issues from the community level to the national level and to the international level. Mr. Moses Jatwat, you are welcome to our security dialogue.
Thank you.
The last time we had a conversation with you, we looked at impact of conflict on food security. And with your background as an agricultural economist also, you gave us a very good education when it comes to how we can provide enough for ourselves and what it means to be food secured in terms of crisis, in terms of conflict. And you know that we have a lot of conflict situations, in and around the country and within the sub-region. And today, there's one key aspect of security that we are going to look at. And I know that it falls within the purview of your operations. And we are going to look at protective security. And the ordinary man, sometimes we hear protective security, we hear safety and security. But as to how we can really break it down for us to understand and how we can also apply ourselves to it, right from the community or from the home and to the community level and then at the national level. So with this, I want to ask what protective security is.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And as you've detailed that security, at the community level, your residents and all that. The purpose of security is to be able to, secure a nation and its people and, its assets, its values, and that constitutes national security. And so issues of national security must be centered on the people. That is very basic. And so all measures must ensure that the people are protected, whether in their homes, in their communities, their workplaces. So we have various layers, or components of national security for which protective security applies at all these levels. So from the personal, level, the individual level, protective security should apply. Your community, protective security. Then we are talking about the overall security of the nation. Protective security also apply. Now, protective security has 4 key elements. We talk about personal security, physical security, personnel security, and information security. Now, these 4 elements, put together is what we refer to as protective security. And so protective security applies at all levels of national security, whether at the nation that is protecting, the country, at the community level, and at the individual level. Take the case of this, this facility, this station, right from, the gate to this studio and, the offices. Protective security principles, must apply, and I would, break them down. When we talk about personal security, we are talking about measures that you take as a person to secure yourself from threats and security risk. Talk of physical security, talk about protection and cover that is given to assets, critical assets. You look at this studio, I can imagine the investments that has gone into, putting up these studios. You look at all the equipments over here, and they need protection. Talk about information security. Every organization has, information, and the information needs to be protected from unauthorized disclosure to persons who are not authorized to have such information. So information must be protected. Information of this station must be protected from, unauthorized release. Maybe this interview we are having, if it's something that is meant for, maybe not meant for the public, it should not go to the public. I'm just setting, an example. Or certain internal communications within this organization that, must not go out. So information security should provide, for that. Then we have personnel security, because institutions work with human beings. So we are talking about the loyalty, and integrity of the personnel that work, in an organization or, in the house. So at a personal level, personal security, from your home, the measures you take, to protect yourself from threats, you are in town, how observant are you? Demonstrations erupt. Do you want to see everything? Do you want to get closer, or you move away from, danger points? How are you able to, detect certain threats, within your community? You are in your house, two people come and park a car in front of your house, for instance, and it doesn't arouse your curiosity to find out what are they doing. We're talking about, violent extremists. We don't know who they are. Okay, they could just be ordinary people. They are standing in front of your house, probably, picking, information about the vulnerability of your house. Where can they easily, enter, and you are not bothered? Or there is somebody in your house who is a target, to them, and they are just there, for instance, to observe movement of people, here and there. At a personal level, we should be able to, observe some of these unusual things.
Will you, okay, so you've talked about observation,
yes,
for instance. At the personal level, what other indicators should we look at the personal level when it comes to protective security?
Yeah, so I've talked about the fact that you should be security conscious.
Okay.
For instance, you need to also develop the capacity to be able to detect threats around you.
What are these capacities? Are you, for instance, talking about maybe installation of CCTV cameras?
Well, that falls under physical security, because yes, that falls under physical security.
Okay.
Your relationship with even your neighbors, for instance, so that you are able to watch over each other. If within this given area, 2-3 houses, I know that, okay, you are in this house with your family, this man is there. If I see somebody that is not usually frequenting your place, there's a need for me to reach out to you. Oh, I have seen an unusual thing. Are you aware of, this? Then we're able to keep, each other, to watch over, each other. And so relationship also matters. If you are staying, in a shared residence, you should be able to look out for each other.
Okay.
Now, physical, I'll just usher that into physical security.
Exactly.
In the advent of issues of violent extremism, and robberies and other attacks, there is a need for us to observe physical security measures. When I was entering, from the main gate to, within this perimeter, I have seen guards manning this place, trying to control access, so that we limit those who, come in and go out? What is even their purpose? And that is the reason why security guards are there to perform these physical security checks to ensure that who is coming in, who is going out, and even the identities of people who are coming, so that in the event that there's an issue, that becomes a primary source of information for investigations.
Okay.
You look at this, I already mentioned your facility here, you look at the equipment here, CCTV cameras to be able to, watch over all these things to see if there is an incident. We're able to, review and see who came in at which point and all that, to be able to identify people. The guard may fall asleep or, something, or he's patrolling somewhere. So all this combination, both human, and electronic means, all help to enhance physical security.
Exactly. So before you come to the other element that you mentioned, and as you are touching on the physical security, I want to find out, sometimes we also hear intelligence. So, and we have heard some security experts and analysts like yourself always saying that every successful security operation is driven by intelligence. But the ordinary person sometimes do not even know this intelligence that you are talking about. Is it the dictionary definition of intelligence, or the operative word of intelligence? So that somebody working here, maybe a cameraman is working, he's also part of that protective security element. But how can he or she become intelligence aware, so that he or she can also contribute to the overall protective security issue that we are talking about?
Yeah, so we may be doing it, but we don't know what we are doing.
Please teach us.
It's intelligence.
Please, because our viewers from across the world are watching us.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. There's a difference between information and intelligence.
Oh.
Now, before something becomes intelligence, information would have been gathered, analysis would have been conducted, and then we arrive at what is called, intelligence. So it's a process that information goes through, will sift through, to remove the chaff, and then what is known as intelligence is what is needed for decision making. Okay, so it is not every information yields intelligence, but to be able to get intelligence, you need information.
Okay.
In the media, the wrong use, of the term intelligence, you see politicians, you see people, they have picked up intelligence. Usually, what they have is information, because the information is not evaluated, it is not analyzed. And analysis of information is a professional activity that is undertaken by trained analysts. So basically, people have, information, but the information may have an intelligence value, but it is the trained person who will be able to analyze this information, connect the dots. For instance, we're talking about physical security, access control. Who has come here at this point? Who did he come with? Which vehicle did he use? Probably at a point in our analysis, we'll realize that, okay, this vehicle dropped somebody at, MTA, office or studio at this time. The vehicle was later found, engaged in this. Then you try to connect. We have what we call event, charting, where you try to connect one event, and the other. We have something we call link analysis. How is this man linked to this person? How are they linked by politics, economic ties, business? Is it, family, relationship? And all these things are professionally, done, so that at the end, the information, the intelligence we have is ready to be used.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I think this is a very simple way that you have really given us. So if you are watching us, for instance, in your home, as part of your observation, curiosity, it means that you should be able to connect. When you see something and something is happening, you should be able to connect. Or if you have that information, of course, you can also churn out that information even to, if you have a security post person, because they are also trained, or you give it to the authorities. Now let's go into personnel, and then the information security, and then we will end with that.
Just before I go into personnel security and personal security, just last week I was conducting a security briefing for some group of people who had come to Ghana to conduct some activities. And the question, one of them posed was that in Ghana, so if I pick a taxi, can I request for the person's ID card to know who is driving me? This is a foreigner. So that already tells you that the person has an intelligence mind, because they want to know who is driving in the event. So, but unfortunately, in our system, in Ghana, it's not something that is common for you to demand an identity card of a driver and all that. So my response, was that, look, it may be, create discomfort, but try to observe what is the make of the person, the facial, make. Try to, observe critically. Maybe the vehicle, definitely you should pick the vehicle's, number, for instance, the make of the vehicle, the color of the vehicle, so that in the event of something, you're able to describe to law enforcement agencies, this is how, the person, looks like, he's dark, and this is his height. The power of observation, you should be able to use this. Now, on personnel security, it has to do with the integrity, the trustworthiness, the loyalty of people that are working or found in a given place. In your house, for instance, there are some people who have house helps. They have house, boys and all those things, house girls. What is the trustworthiness of these people? Sometimes the most dangerous people, we can have when it comes to what we call espionage, illegal collection of, information of security.
I'm sure one of these days we will look at that one.
Value. Yes, exactly. Yes. Who in your house? Because your house girl, your house boy, the watchman, he knows every corner in the house. He knows the members. He knows the time you go out, the time you don't come out. He knows everything. There is the possibility that that person could be recruited to undertake illegal collection of information, to even say, okay, this is the time my boss is always out. They are not always there. Probably you're a banker, you deal in money, or you possess sensitive documents. How trustworthy is the watchman, is the gate man? He may relax at a point to allow people to get into your bedroom and steal certain, sensitive documents. So how do we ensure that people that we are working with, people who even stay with us, are trustworthy? And that is why issues of background checks, you need to know, the kind of people, you are bringing. If you are hiring guards, for instance, you need to conduct background checks. Watchmen, who you are staying with, you need to know. Workers in this studio or in an organization, there should be pre-employment checks where you do one or two, basic checks about a person. And also, you continuously assess, the suitability of the person to remain in employment or to remain, in your house. That's what is called personnel security. So this is at the basic level. At the national level, we have personnel who are working in the security, and intelligence services. They deal with state secrets, for instance. They are investigating matters. They come across a lot. What is the integrity, what is the credibility of these people who are handling state security matters?
And in recent times, you've had leakage of very sensitive national security information.
Yes.
I'm sure you may be aware of that.
Yes.
How can this jeopardize the fiber of our national security?
Of course, it's a breach. It's a breach of security. That's why I'm saying that the personnel, people working in an organization, there need to be high level of personnel security. There are some departments that maybe Mr. A may not be fit to work in that department. He doesn't have to be so. He doesn't have to be there. Indeed, in some organizations within the intelligence service, if you are working in organization A, does not mean that you have right to work in every department. When they even transfer you from one department to another department, you would be revetted, or they will conduct background check to see whether you are even suitable to work, over there. And that is why we have what we call security, clearance when in an intelligence organization. We would vet you. That is background checks. We do what we call positive vetting. It goes even deep. Who are your parentage, your hometown? We know everything, about you. Then we can give you what we call security clearance. So documents or information are classified as we have four broad categories. We have what we call top secret. We have what we call secret. We have what we call confidential information. What we call restricted, information. Each of these classes of information and the type of security protection that should be given it, and also it means that if information is leaked, a top secret information is leaked, it will have very, very serious consequences on the organization. So with top secret information, whether it is the organization, it is the nation, if such information is leaked, it will have extreme grave consequences on the organization. Probably MTA, your strategies, and all that, your finances and all that, even personnel, maybe where you keep your bank records and all these things. This is not information that should be out there. If such information goes out, it will cause serious damage to the organization. Then we have, secret information, which is of, less value. So let me also add that for top secret information, you are going to find only few people, very top level, who should have access to it, and information is well protected. Then it comes down up to restricted. Restricted information is something that must remain within the organization. If it is at the house level, there are certain information that it should remain within your wife and your children. There should not be a situation where an outside person knows where you keep your car key, for instance. Which documents you keep where, land documents or whatever, registration documents of your car, that information. So with that information, you and your wife, maybe you should know, that, okay, this land document, this is where children do not, have to know. Somebody can come and deceive them, and then maybe they give out that your father has sent me to come and do this. So at the basic level, you need to be able to know which type of information to even tell children. For instance, what type of information must you tell children? Which type of information, should your watchman know? And so at your level, you should be able to, determine, using your discretion.
Okay. So I just, when you were talking about the classification, there's also something they call unrestricted. I'm sure that one will not be of any, if somebody gets to know, will not have any serious consequences. So everybody can have, and sometimes we have them even in the media and all of those.
Exactly. For information that are unrestricted or unclassified, indeed, is available for the public. Wow. Maybe your this station, your adverts, times you air your program, and these are, all these things. But as to issues of maybe your strategies, because you are competing, there are other stations. Even if this station is not running a business, but you are all into the the media space. Your strategies, maybe how you even select your guests, the kind of things you do behind the scenes to even bring a guest. These are not things. Your communication systems, are not things that should be in the public. And even those working in this studio or those working in this organization, is it everybody that must have access to all the information in this organization? No. Probably some few people, should, as you progress higher, then you get to know more about, the organization information.
Thank you so much. But I'm getting soaked in the conversation, because these are sometimes issues that we make it so secret. We make it look, someone would say, too scary for people to really understand. But like we have always indicated, when on MTA and on the security dialogue, we are trying to break down the issues of security, peace, conflict management, transformation, so that we can all be able to contribute. So I will want to, we are drawing the curtains down. You've talked about power of observation. You talked about background checks, even right from the home to the community to at the national level as well. And you made mention of violent extremism and all this classification of information that you've talked about. I want to see how it is when it comes to protective security in the issues of violent extremism. We'll do it very snappy. I'm sure I'm going to bring you back in another time for us to talk about it. Because we have a lot of our people going to social places, we are having weddings, we are having this, we are having churches, we have had some attacks on some mosques, and I mean, various mosques have been under attacks here and there and all this stuff. How should we apply this protective security education and some of the measures that you have outlined for us to be able to safeguard ourselves proper?
Yes, of course, the Ministry of National Security, issued an advice to places of worship, to tighten security measures in response to the threat of violent extremism. It's all, falls, on this. One, from physical security, in this here, or, in a mosque is an open place, for everybody, but we cannot just open it up whereby people that we don't even know are coming in. There should be some level of control, access, control. Mind you, violent extremists, their purpose is to inflict, on masses, and people gather, at the mosques, and all that. So there's a need for us to do this. Personal security, let us be aware of our environment. Fiscal security, let us secure our infrastructure. And information security, let us not give out information that will make us vulnerable, to attacks, whether in our homes or in our churches or mosques.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think this has been a very wonderful discussion. I had in the studio Mr. Moses Jatwat, who is an intelligence and security expert. He is a former director for the Institute for Intelligence and Strategic Security. He's taken us through what we call protective security. I mean, he gave us the meaning when it comes to protective security, some measures that we need to put in place to protect ourselves as we continue to experience the threats of violent extremism. And these are some of the ways that they will easily use in penetrating into our homes, our community, and indeed at the national level. So he talked about power of observation. That is one key thing that we need to take into consideration of observing the things that goes around you. We should do background checks, and on that, I can say without doubt that at MTA, even the kind of people that we bring on our shows are really scrutinized. I mean, and the quality checks on our programs. We don't do politics, so elements of political statements are not politically or partisan in nature, and so we are able to also ensure that we even protect those that are also coming on our shows, and so security is a very high top-notch here. Other things that we need to also look at is the unauthorized giving of information. So all these are things that you need to put in place to ensure that you are protected in terms of your own security at the personal level, at the physical level, personnel, and then also information. We have seen people everywhere they go, they want to post a picture on social media. I'm sure in one of these days we'll come and also look at some of these issues when it comes to cyber security issues. And so you need to be aware of yourself and what you are doing and the kind of people you are actually putting into danger. And so this has been another wonderful discussion on the Security Dialogue on Muslim Television and Media. I have been your host, Sadiq Educhung. So we meet same time. Is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.